Are you confused about values and how to use them? Today we're going to talk about how to better our drawing and painting using values. Welcome everyone, I'm Alisa of Alisa Laporte Art, and today we are going to talk about the importance of values in our drawing and our paintings. If we don't understand our values and how to reach them, then in our paintings when we use color, then we won't always have the correct values. Let's head on over to my studio where I will create a study from start to finish, showing you and talking to you about the importance of values and how to better them in your own paintings. We need to get ourselves into the habit of looking at our subjects in terms of value. We do this by asking ourselves, what is the lightest, middle, and darkest value? This is where making quick thumbnails comes in handy. This is a small, quick sketch showing our range of values from the darkest darks to the lightest lights. We need to look for areas of high contrast, such as a sunlit building or a figure against a shaded area. We need to forget color and think of our subjects in gray tones. You can even change your pictures to be in black and white if that will help you at first. This will help you to analyze your drawing better and to be more accurate with your values in the long run. Even if you're painting in color, it's important for you to have both a black and white and a color copy of your subject, just so you can compare and analyze the two together. That way, if you have two colors like a green and a blue or brown and red, you will be able to tell the difference between the two or if they're the same value, because sometimes those colors are actually the same value. It's harder for us to determine what that value is when they are two separate colors. So whether it's red or brown or blue or green, you will be able to determine whether or not it is darker or lighter or the same. Most of us, especially as beginners, produce values that are in the midtones. We don't leave enough light or enough dark. This is why our paintings can sometimes feel like they are inaccurate. We are not pushing our lights or our darks far enough. Or as you might have heard it, they are lacking contrast, which is the range of light to dark. Our shadows help us to create a sense of depth, grounding our subjects into a fixed place, so they don't appear to be floating. The contrast between light and dark is what helps us to be able to identify a three-dimensional shape. Without this, it will appear flat. In watercolors, the lightest we can get is from the white of our page. Then we can build up our darks using transparent washes. We can get a range from the lightest light to the darkest dark using these transparent washes. For our lights, we use more water and less pigment, and to get darker tones, we will mix more pigment with less water. To take our paintings from a flat wash to three-dimensional, we need to remember to assess the direction that the light is coming from so that we know where our lightest points will be coming from and where the shadows are going to be. If we don't know this, we can confuse them, and then our painting will become confusing as we will have lights where maybe they shouldn't be and darks where they should not be. So the idea is to mark off where we want those lightest lights, and we are going to start with very little pigment in our washes and slowly build that pigment up till it is very thick and creamy and is the darkest dark. So we start off with this light wash, and it appears dark right now, but that's because everything else on our page is white. And as it dries, it will actually lighten up for us. We need to also remember to allow our layers to dry in between so that they don't become muddy or we don't get darks where we want it to stay light. So if you're starting off, paint a layer and then let it dry. If you need to, use a blow dryer, but let that layer dry and then start with your next layer, building those values slowly so that you're not jumping ahead too quickly. You don't want to lose your lights. They are very easy to lose in watercolors. Getting the correct values is the most important aspect of creating a painting, especially with impact. With value being so important to our painting, we need to look for light and dark patterns and how they are distributed throughout our scene. We need to look for areas that can be blocked together through tone. This helps us to simplify our paintings as well as creating a more interesting painting. We don't need every detail spelled out for us. Our eyes will naturally fill in the blanks. Sometimes we think if we add more details, then the painting or the picture will look more accurate. And that's not always the case. A lot of times it's because our values are just incorrect. So the first thing we need to focus on when painting is making sure our values are correct. And then you can decide how much detail or how little detail you want to have depending on your painting style. Not because you think that adding more detail will make your painting more accurate. Sometimes what I'll do with my watercolor paintings, if I want to blend or smooth some of the darkness out, I will add a dark area and then I will rinse my brush, add fresh water, make sure you don't have too much. Then you will just barely touch where you had laid down your dark paint and then pull your brush away and it will blend that paint out with that fresh water. You can see me do this a lot as I'm adding more and more darks to my painting. I don't want them to be so harsh in the painting, so I do blend them out. To help you further with understanding the values of your paints, you can create a value scale using black watercolor paint. And then draw a line of 10 squares, each about 1.5 inches, on a piece of watercolor paper. Then go from white till black and create all the tones in between, slowly getting darker as you go down. Then you're going to make strong dilutions of each of the colors in your palette and place them where you think they might appear on the grayscale, right next to it. Yellows will always be lighter than blues and reds. Also remember that the strength of your wash will sway how intense your value scale will be. It's okay if you have more than one color that fits under the same value. This is what this exercise is for, to determine what your values are and where they lie on that value scale. So when you go to create a painting, you know, okay, these ones are my lightest lights and these ones I'm going to use for my darkest darks. You know which colors, and then you don't have to try and think in your mind while you're painting, okay, which one is the light one and which one do I need for dark? You will be able to know right away. We need to remember that not every scene will have such a large range of values. Cloudy days and misty, rainy days will have more mid-tone values, where you can play with more hard and soft edges. But we still need to be able to separate the tones enough to create dimension. And this 3-dimension is exactly what we're looking to create in our paintings. This last little bit I'm going in with a white Jelly Roll pen to get those little details of the hairs that are catching that sunlight, and they're just beautiful, and it's the easiest way to capture those, especially when you're working on a study and not your real painting. I would also love to discuss with you guys what you do to prepare yourselves for a painting. Let me know any tips and tricks that you guys have that have helped you out. I hope this video has helped you as you continue studying values for your own paintings. Question of the day: are you creating thumbnails before you start painting? How about color mock-ups? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. It really helps me out, and click that bell so you can be notified when I upload my video on what's in my plein air bag. And until next time, keep on painting.